Hey, how's it going? Not feeling super awesome right now. Got a little bit worse since the video I made previously. Not as bad as yesterday though. This time yesterday I was on my way to the hospital to figure out what was going on, and they didn't tell me anything. Anyway, that aside, I'm gonna give a shout out to Dave Meckler. I don't normally say names on my videos, but this time he wanted me to, so I'm going to. We have made a gentleman's agreement on who will have more points in the upcoming season. We're betting $1, and he's going with Sidney Crosby, and I'm going with Patrick Kane. I think that's a fair bet to make. They both had 89 points last year. They both have 3 Stanley Cups. And they're both exceptional hockey players on excellent teams. Sidney Crosby did win the Stanley Cup this year, and he had a better plus-minus than Patrick Kane. But I still think Patrick Kane has the edge. We're going to see about that. I will be paying more attention to the NHL in the upcoming year. Well, yeah, that's part of what I wanted to talk about. Another part was Sidney Crosby himself. Like, I had, quickly skimmed through some documentaries before on Sidney Crosby, but I didn't really pay too much attention to them. Dave Meckler had mentioned that I should watch these particular ones. They're mostly just highlights, some skirmishes he had, is him talking about Cole Harbour, where he grew up and where he goes to in the off season, and also the becoming Sidney Crosby thing. I think Dave Meckler was trying to bring across, well, Sidney Crosby is not that bad a guy, why don't you try liking him? Well, he's not that bad a guy, but I don't like him. There's a few reasons. Alright, we'll start with the Becoming Sidney Crosby documentary. You can clearly see that he has advantages over other players beyond his skill, beyond just his skill, I should say. For starters, he meets Wayne Gretzky at like 14, 15 years old. Now, there are tens of thousands of young hockey players, and they're lucky if they get a glimpse of a hockey player walking into the stadium as they're, in the crowd watching them go into the stadium before a game, let alone actually be tutored and maybe even have a skate. I think he did have a skate with Wayne Gretzky. Unfair advantage. And I think it was 14 or 15 he was when crowds would actually start going to his minor league games and cheering him on, specifically him, not the team, specifically Crosby. And don't give me this, that some 14, 15-year-old was that good and just really brought it on upon himself. He had helping hands from adults, for sure. I remember when I went to UBC Thunderbirds, my parents didn't do anything for me. They didn't even show up, and the problem is you get pushed to the ground real quick when that happens. So Sidney Crosby can complain and go, well, the guys on the team were a bit mean, they were a little bit rough. I don't know the extent of that. I mean, in the documentary you see him get pushed over one time. It was probably worse than that, but I couldn't imagine it being worse than that. And their major complaint, which is a legitimate one, is that he had a silver spoon in his mouth. They mentioned that in the documentary, but it was downplayed. It's just they're barely mentioning it, but it's the truth. I mean, if you have people more than just your parents coming to cheer you on, more than just family members, but actual other adults, and you're meeting Wayne Gretzky, yes, you have an advantage. You're chosen. And when you're 14, 15, you just don't have the muscular capacity to be that much more exceptional than any other hockey player, other than the conditions that the coaching and the league and the the crowd can influence upon you. So he was definitely guided and coaxed into becoming something more. I mean, yes, Sidney Crosby could have failed and not gotten anywhere, but the conditions favored him to succeed. And everyone was saying he's the best there's ever been since day one. And he was really, pushed forward into becoming who he is. He is a good hockey player. I saw some of the plays he makes, in more recent skirmishes as an adult, and he's got a strong lower body. He really can, guard the puck and keep it from opponents and make nifty plays. That's the sort of strength that he didn't have when he was younger, and it's more the aura of his cult of personality that allows him to be that dominant on the ice in certain situations. I had noticed that some of these video clips I'd watched are a few years old. I hadn't seen too much of the Stanley Cup playoffs this run, so I don't know if he's as strong on his lower body as he used to be. Probably is. I couldn't see why not, but I really couldn't say for sure. Getting to Cole Harbour. It is a feel-good story, he's nice to the community that brought him up, really friendly. He makes it a point to teach young students how to play hockey, and it's nice that he's like that, but it is a propaganda video clip. When Sidney Crosby's in the off season, he doesn't do that much community service or anything like that. He probably legally or contractually couldn't do it anyway. He has to remain a mystery to the new generations because you can't have them becoming sycophants and just really focusing on him instead of focusing on themselves and being the good hockey players that they can be. Making an appearance for seeing Sidney Crosby would be a morale boost for them for sure, but they're not seeing him every day. And I mean, Sidney Crosby wouldn't even want to do that anyway because there's so many things he could be doing in the off season, particularly when he's won the Stanley Cup. So he could probably partying and who knows what else. But they presented this image like he's at the rink every day in the off season. He's teaching children. He's doing this. He's doing that, and he probably does a little bit of that, but not that much. And those children in Cole Harbour are the spoiled ones. There will be more hockey players that enter the NHL. Maybe not at Sidney Crosby's level, but Sidney Crosby will do the same thing for them as Wayne Gretzky did for him. So I don't think Sidney Crosby is a jerk because of that. I mean, obviously he works hard all year playing for the NHL. He's got his own life to think about, and just his presence occasionally at events like that is, it does the job. I mean, the actual training and coaching of minor leagues is up to the people who, who are qualified for that job. Where that is his job. Sidney Crosby's job is to be the Stanley Cup champion, the captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that all aside, that's a bit of a distraction on who Sidney Crosby really is, particularly in his business relations and his NHL, adversities in the National Hockey League. He is obviously, it's hard not to be, but in the NHL there are a lot of jerks, and Sidney Crosby is most certainly one. There are a lot of people that don't like each other for various reasons, and Sidney Crosby When he goes to play with the big boys, he does things that aren't particularly nice. I mean, it's the National Hockey League. You have to play hard, and if you want to succeed, that means I don't know. It means beating your opponent, obviously, which is ideally what you want to do. But something about him seems like an arrogant prick. Like, he wants the Stanley Cup again after having it already. I mean, that sort of comes with the territory. Of course, you want to win as many Stanley Cups as possible, especially to catch up to Mark Messier. He's got 6. What an undeserving bastard. I mean, a lot of people really like Mark Messier, but I'm a Vancouver fan, and I do not like Mark Messier. And don't even go there if you want to have an argument about that. So anyway, Sidney Crosby, unique hockey player, very talented. He is nice, but like a lot of other people, he has a mean streak. And we don't see so much of that. You know, we get the garbage version of everything where they don't share much in the way of politics or anything interesting in the NHL. We always get the watered down, simplistic version of things. And it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, you don't have to really look at every nook and cranny to find any source of information. Of course, there's word of mouth, so I suppose if you're connected in the real world, you get to hear about things that other people don't. But I don't know, this is all hypothetically speaking. Anyway, yeah, that's what I want to talk about in this particular video. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. And if you're a Sidney Crosby fan, fuck off.